Do you remember in the movie It's a Wonderful Life when George Bailey is talking to his father, Peter Bailey? It's just the two of them at the dinner table, and Peter is expressing his desire that his son George might come back to Bedford Falls after college to work at the family business. And George is like, "Pop, I hear you, but I'm gonna explode if I don't get out of this one-horse town and do something big and important. I can't just spend my whole life cooped up in some shabby little office." And of course, George immediately regrets saying this because he's a good guy and he loves his dad and he doesn't want to, insult his father's entire life's work. And Peter, who in like 30 seconds will do a complete 180 and give George his blessing to go out into the world and make a name for himself. He's quiet for just a second and then he says, "George, I feel that in a small way we are doing something important. Satisfying a fundamental urge. It's deep in the race for a man to want his own roof and walls and fireplace.
And we're helping him get those things in our shabby little office."
God damn, I love that movie. Anyway, you remember the scene. Laying aside that this absolute gem of a film dips the bitter poison of the patriarchy in the golden honey of the American war hero and national treasure that was Jimmy Stewart, that scene always hits me pretty hard. Not just because it's a beautiful scene between a father and a son, and, fathers and sons don't have a lot of beautiful scenes in real life, but also because in that one line, a primal human need, shelter, is linked directly to capitalism. And I know that sounds obvious, like, duh, Scott, you need money to buy a house, but it's more than that. Stick with me here. While it's trendy to say we're currently in a period of late-stage capitalism, and we very well may be, there are signs, it's also completely possible that this stage could last for another millennia, after which a new generation of millennials will simply ask the AI singularity to materialize the perfect homes specifically for them, fully furnished and stocked with enough food and drinks and entertainment to last for the entirety of an average human lifespan, which at that point will be about 250 years, give or take a century. But until that day comes, outside of being born into a wealthy family, capitalism is the only financial machinery that you've got to work with to get you your own roof and walls and fireplace. And a real estate agent is one of the tools specifically crafted to operate that very complicated and delicate late-stage machinery. Dude, you just called yourself a tool. No, I did. What? Shut up. I don't work in a shabby little office, of course. In fact, I recently switched brokerages and I'm now at Sotheby's, which is about as far from shabby as you can get. I also don't work for a thrift institution like the Bailey Brothers Building and Loan Association. And if the algorithm brought us together, you probably already know that you should really only take bespoke money advice from a qualified financial professional, and that ain't me. But more importantly, if you can, do your best to find someone with the ethics and moral fortitude of George Bailey, and that is me. Sort of. I'm not a war hero, or even that brave, but as a real estate agent, I am a fiduciary. And that means basically, legally, within the bounds of the law, I have to do what's best for you, not me, or I could be in real trouble. And that's, honestly, the best part about being a realtor. But let me tell you why. I hate sales as a job. Every sales job I've ever had has been the worst. Unscrupulous managers, morally dubious tactics, and just outright lies. If you're in sales, you get told directly to lie to your customers. "I won't be able to get you that deal after today." That's the absolute lowest I could go. I've got 2 other customers interested in this baby, but I'd rather see it go to you. Not a pyramid scheme, it's just how multi-level marketing works. It's perfectly legal. None of that exists in real estate. As a fiduciary, I'm legally obligated to not worry about my own commission. I'm legally obligated to not consider my own time frame in carrying out the transaction. As a fiduciary, my legal obligations are to set my dreams aside, stay in my own hometown, marry Donna Reed, buy a haunted house, have a mess of kids, and go out drinking with 18th century angels, second class, who are into Mark Twain. Metaphorically speaking. Seriously, I love that movie. Just like George Bailey, as a realtor, my loyalty has to be to the community, to you, above all else. But loyalty? That's just the beginning. There's accounting. Remember how freaked out George was when he lost that $8,000? Disclosure, which is kind of like when George explained to the crowd in his office how the Building and Loan Association worked so they could decide how much money they really needed. Another amazing scene. Confidentiality. Minus what I'm legally bound to impart to others, what you tell me goes with me to the grave. Like when George gives Violet the money from his pocket so she can go start a new life in New York. You just know old Georgie Porgy never told a soul about it. Are you sure about this next one? It's part of being a fiduciary. Really? Okay. Obedience. I have to do whatever you tell me to do, as long as it's legal. George and Mary gave up their honeymoon to meet his commitments to his customers. Sounds pretty obedient to me. And finally, reasonable care and diligence. George, a motherfucking Bailey. These responsibilities are both enormously important and incredibly comforting, to me at least, because I immediately have something to offer that almost no one else in your life can provide. Even as a freshman in the industry, I can't walk up to someone and say I have years of experience in real estate. I don't. But I do have a fiduciary obligation to you, whether we have a contract or not, as long as I'm acting on your behalf. Through any means necessary, through any legal means necessary, I'm required to provide you with services that have the exact quality of coming from someone with years of experience. And I've got Sotheby's on my side. I've got a mentor, I've got colleagues, a transaction coordinator that I pay for, constant education and training, even a coach if I feel like I need one. I'll get you those years of experience. And you can take that to the bank or to a mortgage broker and then escrow. So for what's typically the biggest purchase in a person's lifetime, for me, as the agent advising you through it, there's negotiations, but there's no sales involved. And I know a few of you are probably like, buddy, you are in sales. You're selling yourself. Bullshit. I'm marketing myself. I'm not selling. This is not for sale. When I talk to people, I'm a good listener, polite and competent, with maybe a little Dale Carnegie pizzazz thrown into the mix, but that's it. There's no toxic positivity. You don't need to fake it till you make it. There's just, and this is, again, required by law, there's just the truth about me, for better or worse, and about whatever house we're looking at, for better or worse. And that makes me valuable as an agent from day one. When I got into this game, I thought I might get to see some cool houses, meet some interesting people, and maybe bring in a little cash, or a lot of cash. But I was also dreading having to become a sales guy again, scheming for commissions, memorizing a bunch of dumb scripts filled with words I would never use, trying to generate leads and land clients, and trying to avoid that look of suspicion in the eyes of everyone I meet. I know I've crossed a street or ducked into an alley to avoid someone I thought was going to try and sell me something. Oh no, here comes Scott. Go, pretend we don't see him. But would anyone cross the street to avoid George Bailey? Are you kidding? I'd cross a 16-lane highway during rush hour just to shake the guy's hand. And the crazy thing is, George Bailey never wanted to be the George Bailey that he was. Not until the end of the movie, which is of course when he learns that by being who he really is and accepting who he really is, he actually has everything he needs. F you, Mr. Potter. Honesty, the golden rule. Ethics, actual ethics. That's who George Bailey is. And these concepts are baked into what a real estate agent is, what we aspire to be. Yes, if you want to play devil's advocate, it's true. There will be inevitably a few very bad real estate agents. And there are undoubtedly many very good salespeople. But first of all, the devil doesn't need an advocate, so cut that out. And second, wouldn't it be better if all salespeople were required to be fiduciaries? Legally obligated to put their customers' needs ahead of their own. Can you imagine that? Every town would be a Bedford Falls. What a wonderful life that would be. I'll see you in the next one. Clarence got his wings. Who names their kid Zuzu? Is that short for Susie? What is that? What are you thinking, George? Mary?